Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today we're doing another episode of Matt Rants. This one will not be a fun episode of Matt Rants, at least when it comes to the topic. As you can tell from the title of the video and from the thumbnail, we're talking about the fact that GameStop, and of course many other retailers as well, not just GameStop, but I'm focusing on GameStop in particular because this is a gaming channel, will be open at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving. Essentially taking the idea of Black Friday and going, how can we spread this like a virus and or a plague, infecting all in their wake, with many, I would argue, maybe a few people benefiting from that virus. Now, this episode isn't going to have a question necessarily, but it is going to have a giant call to action. Now, if you don't know what a call to action is, that an example of a good call to action is every time I have a video, or at least most of the videos on this channel, have at the end of them have me saying, hey, if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. If you don't like the video, you can still like and subscribe either way, but a good one usually just focusing on the liking and subscribing. Now, the reason why I do that is because at the end of the video, we're at the end, usually you don't have one at the beginning of the video. If you do, I personally think it's sometimes weird to have smash that subscribe button before you've actually seen the video and seen what the content creator has to offer, but this one is going to actually span the entire video. I'm going to tell you what GameStop has said about this and what I feel about this actually happening, but again, before I do, I just want to say that my call to action in this video is, if you disagree with this practice, even if you agree with this practice, I would say, if you can, do not shop at either GameStop or any retailer on Thanksgiving Day. I'm not saying that you should wait until Christmas. I'm not saying that you should wait to buy everything until, a day or 2 days before Christmas. This isn't Jingle All the Way. Good movie, but not that movie. You can buy things before Christmas if you want to get stuff specifically for Christmas. There's a reason why Black Friday exists. When Black Friday first came out, yes, I'm that old. And some people are like, what do you mean, I'm older than you? But there are some people listening in that are like, wait, there was a time before Black Friday? There was. And I remember how even that seemed a bit of a foreign concept. Who wants to go shopping the day after Thanksgiving? I remember my dad would say that, and I would agree. I would go, who wants to go shopping the day after Thanksgiving? My dad and I went once to Black Friday, maybe twice, and it never really seemed all that appealing. I'm not some hippie that lives, from this dirt and the soil, from the salt of the earth. If you've seen this channel before, I buy a lot of stuff. I do, usually secondhand, but still I have a lot of stuff in my collection when it comes to gaming, and I'm not even going to say that I've never shopped at GameStop. That's silly. If you guys see some of the games that are behind me, if I'm doing a video in front of one of my shelves, you'll notice a lot of them are from GameStop, because either my dad and I or whomever bought them for really cheap used at GameStop back in the day. And I even got my NES and SNES Classic Edition from GameStop. So am I telling you to not get one of those from GameStop in the future? Not even saying that directly. However, we do have to make a stand at some point if this is what we believe in, and not buy directly from GameStop this Thanksgiving. By the way, I mentioned earlier, yes, they opened their doors at 3 p.m., which does not mean that an employee has to report there at 3 p.m. That means that you, the consumer, if you don't work there, can start shopping at 3 p.m. That means that you're not having an early Italian Thanksgiving dinner at around 1 o'clock. What you're probably doing is, you're probably leaving your house, depending on, I also have to think about people's commutes and things like that. You're leaving around 11 to 12 perhaps, just to get in, just to set up for Thanksgiving Day. And I believe people have been saying online that they will probably end their shift at around 10, maybe 11 o'clock at night, perhaps. But we should note that this sale is not happening instead of Black Friday. It is happening alongside Black Friday. And also should mention as well, as I said earlier, but I really do want to drive this point home, I'm only focusing on GameStop because this is a gaming channel. Many other retailers do it. You can also extend this call to action to other retailers as well. You can even extend this to online retailers like Amazon if you would like. Another reason why I think that this is a fool's errand, this is the strangest thing to do, is that not just for GameStop, but any company that wants to increase sales, this is not going to increase your sales if someone, after getting the turkey sleeps, the turkey nap, you want to take a turkey nap, on your couch, you can just take out your smartphone, your tablet, maybe your tablet slash laptop if you have one of those smaller ones. That's kind of like a two-in-one thing. And you can order stuff directly off Amazon. Now, I'm not saying that you should. Again, this call to action can also extend to Amazon because it's not just about brick and mortar retail stores. There are also a lot of people that are spending their times during, in Amazon warehouses during Thanksgiving. God only knows their hours. If you are working that, please tell us down below in the comments section. But at the same time, someone can do that. And heck, I could even go on eBay and potentially get some similar, if not better, deals or sales just by the fact that it's eBay instead of going into a retail store. It of course depends on what you're buying, but still, I don't think this is actually producing the intended sales numbers. I'm partially wrong with that, and I'll explain why a little bit later, but right now I do want to talk about what GameStop said just last year about this issue, because actually, and I do want to give GameStop credit for this, GameStop started off for a few years saying, hey, look, it seems like everybody is opening up on Thanksgiving. We're not going to do that, and I'll have their exact quote in a second. They said they were not going to do that, and I want to commend them starting that off because not a lot of places did do that. Of course, every place started off doing Black Friday. Not every, but many places, bigger retailers, chains, started off doing Black Friday. But the thought that it was going to extend to Thanksgiving not that the thought seemed completely asinine, but companies actually doing it seemed asinine because who wants to leave their house on Thanksgiving to get better deals, especially now when online retailers are not even on the rise, they've risen. They're there. It's essentially the idea of if a Blockbuster was still around, it's just come in to get better deals. And you look at them and you think, but I have Netflix, you dolts. What are you doing? But either way, I want to move on to GameStop's exact quotes on the issue. Now, this article posted by Kotaku was released last year, so it is outdated, but I have to say that other than some online dissent, I actually have not seen many places negatively stating this. Just saying like, oh, hey, GameStop is doing it too. Isn't that neat? Which I don't really think is the point of journalism, but look, you can talk about Black Friday deals all day long, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an article about that, but I do think there should be some more pieces on this that kind of showcase this in a negative light, as I think it should be. But anyway, let's talk about GameStop's specific quote on the matter. So, they said, to better serve our guests with their evolving holiday shopping needs, this year GameStop will open its stores for a shortened and limited time on Thanksgiving Day. Many of our store associates and guests have asked for this. We have heard their requests and are making an adjustment to our previous position on this topic. Now, I would like to say, I think it's really nice of GameStop to consider their stockholders and their investors, store associates, and guests. And it's really nice for the investors and stockholders to actually come into GameStops and purchase stuff there. I know it's on Thanksgiving and they're going away from their families to do this, but I think it is really nice that they're actually going to GameStop and purchasing things there because they enjoy GameStop products. Because when they say many of our store associates and guests have asked for this, I have to imagine they're talking about stockholders and investors, because I've never heard of one person say, you know what, man? And I know it's anecdotal, but still, I've never heard, and please sound off in the comments below if you agree or disagree, but I've never heard one person say, man, I want to buy a game that could have day one bugs and glitches on Thanksgiving. Oh boy, that's what I want to do. I've never heard that. So, and some of you guys are saying, Matt, are you calling GameStop liars? If it's not actually about stockholders and investors, Matt, are you calling GameStop liars? And look, I believe that every story, there's two sides, right, to every story. And we have to look at the facts. We can't just say, that a company is either lying all the time or telling the truth, or anyone in any situation. So let's look at this, right? On the one hand, GameStop could be lying. But on the other hand, GameStop could be lying. And I think looking at both sides will really get us closer to the truth in this situation. And, in some cases, because I'm not privy to these numbers, maybe we'll never know, right? Maybe we'll never know. But again, I'm looking at both sides here, and I think we might be able to get closer to the truth. Also, would like to note that 3 years ago, and this is again from when the article was written, so this was in 2014, this is what Think Progress told Kotaku, or at least made a general statement. So here's the statement, right? At GameStop, we often use the phrase protect the family in reference to our business. A large part of what that means to us is to not open any of our GameStop, Simply Mac, Spring Mobile, or Cricket Wireless US locations on Thanksgiving Day out of respect for our store associates and their families and friends. We believe it's the right decision not only for our employees, but also for our customers. Enjoy this time with your loved ones, and we'll see you on Black Friday. So my take on this is, it seems like both in 2017 and in 2018, GameStop has taken that respect like a Thanksgiving turkey and has bent you, the GameStop employee, over, taken the respect, which is the stuffing, and well, I think you see where this metaphor is going. So clearly they don't care about the families anymore, which is a very strange position to take, but alright, weird flex, but okay. They don't care about the families. Again, that's not on me. That's just simply what is implied by saying for years, we care about the families. To 2017 and 2018 going, I mean, but like, what are families really? Like, is GameStop now taking a shot at the nuclear family? If they are, then bless them. Okay, I'll take that shot. All right, let's see. Families evolve and change over time. Families now are much different than the standard nuclear family. But I don't think that GameStop is actually doing that when they've now changed their position on this entire issue. Now, earlier I mentioned that I might be wrong about the sales, about those raw numbers, about how many people are going out and actually buying games on Thanksgiving. The reason why I say this is because, and by the way, all of these links that I've mentioned so far and that I will be mentioning will be in the description box down below. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, those guys play. So Tristan Cooper tweeted, this year GameStop and at GameStop opens at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. This is an unbelievably cruel practice that exploits workers and robs them of their precious family time during the holidays. It needs to stop. Now, even though we should, of course, be noticing that, it's not his tweet that I think is interesting. It's when scrolling down, and yes, this is a person who I don't know them personally, so this could be 100% fabricated. I'm only bringing this up in the off chance that, because here's the thing, I'm bringing this up for discussion, and if you guys are GameStop employees or managers and you got this email last year, I want you to sound off in the comment section down below. I want to hear your stories, and if you ever want to come on the channel, I would love to talk to you about this. So, because someone said in reply to this, UFO catcher player at Yoma, I'll get the whole name in a second, but this tweet was, as someone who used to be a manager there, it was the worst. What people don't see is after they close, managers have to stay and redo the sales and products as the deals are different between Black Friday and Thanksgiving. So why would you even open up on Thanksgiving? Anyway, that's just my take, but that wasn't the one that I wanted to. I just wanted that for context. What he said, or they said then after, last year every store was sent an email about how amazing the profit was for being open Thanksgiving, that they would do it next year. It was this horrible feeling of dread for most of the managers that read it. So I wanted to only make note of that because if that is true, by the way, UFO catcher player at Yumacon. Oh, okay. All right, Yumacon. All right, so if this person is to be believed, if they did used to work at GameStop, then that does mean that GameStop did well last year for Thanksgiving. Now, I don't understand why, and the reason why I don't understand why, maybe last year over this year, but this year, I don't see any games that have came out around this season, this time of the year, fall in particular, that people don't already have or haven't played, and there hasn't been an online hype machine surrounding all of those, and that people either have them, or even if they want to get them, why they'd want to get them on Thanksgiving, specifically at a GameStop. Now, I know we've made videos on GameStop before. I'm not trying to shit on GameStop 100% and say, why would anyone have a shop at a GameStop at all? But it's just the idea that, like, what came out recently that you're really hoping, you're itching to get out of GameStop? Like, oh, I really want my copy of Fallout 76. I really wouldn't know. And again, when I looked at I mentioned this earlier, when I looked at the GameStop deals for some places that were posting Black Friday deals that also occur on Thanksgiving, none of the things stuck out to me so much. Like, if you told me, hey Matt, Nintendo Switch, $200, no add-ons or anything, but $200, at your local GameStop on Thanksgiving only. I wouldn't go do it, but that would at least tempt me. Now, I know a Nintendo console that came out less than 2 years ago isn't going to get a $100 price drop. I know, but what sale are you going to get me? Oh, the $60 game is now $30. Okay, on the right day, I could get that on eBay, depending on how good the game is. If you haven't even gotten the game already when it came out 2 to 3 to 4 months ago. So looking at some of the sales, none of them strike me as something I can't just find on eBay from someone who just wants to get it out of their hands because it wasn't a game that they thought it was going to be. If I can get that under the same price, which is, $30 or $40 or even $25, what is the point? Why can't I just get it on Black Friday? What is the... I understand that there is this competition, this feeling of competition inside of us. That's why you have videos about people getting stuff, retro video games at flea markets. That's why that, people go on the hunt. I mean, you have this feeling, this sense of the hunt and the thrill of the hunt. That's what I was looking for. The thrill of the hunt. But what point is it to do it on Thanksgiving specifically? Why are you going to open your store at 3 p.m.? It just does not make any sense to me. And of course, you're going to tell me, well, Matt, if they really were really good sales, then of course that's why they're going to do it. But the thing is, it is a fleeting high because of the fact that not only the rest of the year, but just as the years go on, as much as I dislike Amazon's hiring practice, well, not hiring practices, but how they treat their workers, while I don't like that, that doesn't mean that Amazon still isn't getting so large that I'm going to assume that we're going to get Amazon on the moon or Amazon on Mars before we end up going there. I have a feeling that actually might be happening in the near future, half joking, half serious. So Amazon is getting so large, why does GameStop think by doing this, it's actually going to compete and it's actually going to keep it afloat? What it really feels like to me is it feels like an animal having its death throes, just on its deathbed, out in the cold, screaming into an abyss that is not replying. That's kind of what it feels like to me when you have GameStop going, so I know we said families, but families are only giving us that green on Thursday, apparently. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to sell games that people want. I'm not saying people don't want these games, but that people may have already bought on Thanksgiving, and hopefully maybe we'll sell some more units, because it's not like they're making crazy cash on these. I mean, they barely make money when these new games are $60. So if they're bringing them down to $30, they're not really making anything, or barely anything. Of course, they have to get, the companies to approve and stuff like that, but I really don't think they're making that much more money. They're just sitting back and going, oh, thank goodness we sold those units, which again ties back into that joke about stockholders and investors, because, you have this pressure from them, and you end up seeing how a corporation sadly has to run, where, you start off with this idea of, we're doing this for the families. Even if you say that was something that was, corporate and they really didn't care about the families, okay, fair. But it starts off that way because, well, that seems like a good position. Everyone is pro-family. Who is anti-family? And you have a situation where now, as other companies or other corporations try to have to compete, or rather started this trend and now other corporations have to compete, you then have a situation where GameStop is like, well, what do our investors think? Oh, you're going to be spending time with your family in the Cayman Islands? All right, well, I guess, so-and-so making minimum wage is not going to be doing that. And by the way, I actually should mention, it is time and a half. You are making more money if you're working on Thanksgiving. But at the end of the day, while money, I hate to say money is everything, because I know the old thing is, well, money isn't everything. Sadly, with how wages aren't rising the way that they should be, money has become everything in a sense. So yes, it is nice to be making time and a half, but the issue is that because this is a major corporation and not a mom and pop where, maybe mom and pop's kids are estranged, so that's why they work on Thanksgiving. People want to come in and have a good time. Hey, the bar's open on Thanksgiving. People want to come in, have a good time. Maybe they don't see their kids that often for one reason or another, or their kids, something happened to them. All right, they can, they can chill at the bar. There's a big difference between bar, emergency services, and things that are not necessarily a necessity all the time. Like the bar isn't a necessity, but things that are much smaller, are not chains, that you can have people who truly just want to actually stay there and work a little bit longer on a day that many don't, versus a GameStop or any other retail store like a Walmart, Best Buy, JCPenney, Sears, things like that, where they are essentially, they're told it's, oh no, don't worry, it's optional. Okay, it's optional, right. Again, there's two sides to every story, remember? And I don't remember, I don't know which side I'm going to go on, but I'm pretty sure it's the lie side. Because they say it's optional, but then all of a sudden afterwards you see that you end up getting less and less hours, and you can't pick up another job due to the fact that you already work 1 to 2, and both of them are retail with varying schedules. So you can't go to another store and say, I may or may not be working at all this week. God only knows, hire me. You can't do that in retail, and that just adds on to the problem even more. Alright guys, so as we're wrapping up this episode of Matt Rants, usually there's a question in the beginning of the episode. Not this time because, like I said earlier, the call to action was really the theme for this entire episode. Yes, of course, it was, putting down corporate practices of being open on Thanksgiving, sure. But also, the call to action mattered to me as well. I hope it matters to you as well. But what I would like to say is, if you're looking at the time that this video is released, I don't know what exact time this video will be released. I will fully admit that. But I can tell you that no matter what time it is, even if it's not at GameStop, somebody right now is working retail on Thanksgiving. Just for a second, sit back and think about that. Just for 1 second. Somebody is actually away from their families. Families that are either elderly, might be sick, they might be having this job just to try to support them and doing it by the skin of their teeth. And they now have to spend time away from them for some retail job that at the end of the day, if there was some type of merger of any kind, if GameStop's sales were doing better and then they acquired another retail company, if ThinkGeek did that, then that other retail company, they would let their workforce go no matter if they worked holidays. It really would not matter at all. Or vice versa. If you work at GameStop, or if you know someone that works at GameStop, you and I both know that if GameStop was acquired by another company, it would not, they potentially would not be sticking around. Also would like to mention as well that this is being posted on our social media accounts, our Facebook, our Twitter, and our website, specifically at 3 p.m., just to drive this point home even further. So, thank you all so much for listening in as always, or watching this. I really hope that if you like this, if you want the audio version, you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/tgproductions, and I really hope you comment down below with some of your stories, maybe some horror stories about either Black Friday or working on Thanksgiving. Also, I would suggest that if you're wondering how you could do any more, yes, you might go, well, I already don't shop at GameStop. Maybe if you're listening to this, you're thinking, I already don't do that, so how can I do any more? I would suggest politely, and this is not a joke, this is not a tie-in, this is not like waiting for a punchline, I'm being dead serious here, politely dissing GameStop on social media, using hashtags like boycott GameStop or GameStop boycott, using hashtags like GameStop Thanksgiving, basically using a hashtag, even if it's just GameStop in the hashtag, making sure that if GameStop is trending, it's not trending for the right reasons. And that matters a lot, interestingly enough, because I know maybe some of you guys listening in, some of y'all think, oh, well, social media doesn't matter. Interestingly enough, the world has changed enough that, yes, corporations follow social media so closely that even if the sales are good, if social media backlash is that large over something like this that does piss people off, understandably so, they might actually pull back on the practice, or at the very least, instead of it being 3 till God knows when, perhaps making it 8 p.m. or making it a night thing exclusively, instead of trying to sit back and actually have it be from starting at 3 p.m. That's ridiculous. Like I said earlier, when it comes to actually getting ready to actually get out of the house and having to set up everything in the store, you're not going to have any time with your family on Thanksgiving Day other than waking up and telling them, sorry kids, sorry grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, whomever, I have to end up going to work today at a store that will can me at a moment's notice. Alright guys, so thank you all so much. I hope that you're having a wonderful time with your families today if you can. Even if your family are friends, even if your family is yourself, you and your amazing cat or dog or iguana. I don't know, maybe your pets are a little exotic. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you all so much for listening in, and love you all so much. So take care. Tune in next time for another episode of Matt Rants. See ya.